Good day. According to 2 Timothy 1 and 7, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. So today I come to you with a very, very somber note. On November the 2nd, 2023, my wife was discriminated against at her business, Martin Sadie Community Center. When she made it to her business, there was a black officer that came up and she said, "Your emergency flashes were on. Is everything all right?" My wife said, "Yes, everything is all right, thank you." Because we had been harassed out here by the police on several different occasions. And my wife was driving her Cadillac Escalade, bought and paid for. So after the African American female officer bagged up, there was another white officer that pulled into the scene as if bag up was called. And they already had a record that was already on the scene. And my wife was at a business, Martin Sadie Community Center. So he came up to my wife and he said, in terms of, my wife told him, said, "Am I under arrest?" He said, "No." Then he proceeded to take his hand and run it up under her religious headwear, because, like I said, she is Lady Catherine Sept, and I am Reverend Dr. Pastor Ralph Sept Sr. And it shocked her because she thought he was attempting to plant evidence on her. She said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, you don't have to touch me like that." And she was very, very calm, but she was shocked. And he said, "If you don't let me do this," he said, "you will be arrested." So, based on a lot of the situations that had transpired in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I informed my wife, because this is not the first time my wife had been harassed, in which you will see. So he proceeded, because he said, "What is the," before that, let me say it. He said, "What is this, marijuana?" No, my wife doesn't have marijuana. My wife was at her business, legal business, that she's trying to get established the right way. He already knows this because they had been trailing and harassing my wife in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, long story short, he said that what we're going to do, we're going to impound the vehicle. He said, we're not going to give you a citation because they can't give a citation. She did nothing wrong. She obeyed all the traffic laws. He said, "We're just going to give you something based on insurance and your registration." Then he proceeded to finally read her rights, her Miranda rights. But first of all, I need to state this, and it must be noted, it must be duly noted. My wife has a criminal justice degree. I have a criminal justice degree and 2 master degrees and a bachelor's degree. So we understand the articles of whenever you're dealing with a situation when there's a stop. Also, the next thing that he did, he went into my wife's ignition, from my understanding, took her keys, the keys that contains our house, any other little special effects that we have. We don't want people to have those. He was supposed to give her her ringer and let her choose what keys she wanted to get off of the ringer. He refused after she asked several times. He took her keys and he rubbed them in the palm of her hand. She had never been so insulted, so desecrated, and made to feel embarrassed. And he was like rushing and hurrying. "Hurry up, you need to hurry up, hurry up." So basically, she was under duress. So he gave them a ride back in the back of his squad car. It was my wife, my son, and my daughter. Wrote out some tickets. But once again, he went into the ignition, took the keys that have a copy of our house, that also have some other effects, and he refused to give it back. Then we looked at the paperwork. The paperwork had conflicting information because they have been trying to harass our family for years, but we have never said anything. But God has not given us a spirit of fear. He has given us a spirit of power and a spirit of truth. Recently in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they had the Brave case, and it was talking about illegal searches and seizures. And I believe that there are thousands of people out there, and I feel like my rights were infringed upon. And she's going to tell her story a little more in detail. But that's only the tip of the iceberg because there's a lot of things that we had not been saying. But I speak in the spirit of that officer who stood back when they beat Ronald Green into the ground. And that man, I know he struggled with himself because I can see it. And that man, he felt like he had no choice but to tell the truth. Therefore, my wife and I, we have no other choice but to tell the truth. We have been harassed. We have been marginalized. We have been discriminated against. We don't have any arrest records. We've never been to jail. But we are constantly being harassed, especially my wife, because she's generally the one who drives us all out in the public. So I just want to know, I just want y'all to pray for me and my family. And anything that y'all can do is highly appreciated, but I want y'all to